Welcome into the Sports 2.0 show. I'm your host today, Alec Busse, joined by Amber Williams and Akshay Kumbar. Thanks for joining me, guys. Before we get started into today's discussion, I think it'll be one that our viewers take a lot of enjoyment in as we get to relive some of our greatest sports moments, and hopefully some of our viewers join in the comments with some of theirs that we can discuss as well. But before we get to that, hopefully you guys remember to subscribe to the Sports 2.0 network, obviously on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever it is you use your social media. Give us a subscription. We're almost at the 600 mark, I think, on YouTube in terms of subscribers. So hopefully you are the 600th subscriber, just so you can say you were that exact number, I guess. Anyway, let's get to it. We're talking about the greatest moments in American sports history today. And obviously there's a lot, and there's going to be more, I'm assuming, this summer with the Olympics coming up. And we're going to focus, obviously, on the Olympics. We're going to focus on professional sports. We're going to focus on some team sports, college level as well. But Amber, I'll let you go first. I know you were pretty excited to do today's show with how big of a fan you are of hockey, and I think that it's pretty inarguable the greatest moment in American sports history. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so everybody, I think, knows the story of the 1980 Miracle on Ice. It is my personal favorite sports moment, even though I wasn't alive to live it. I have watched the movie a ton of times. So just a quick history lesson in case you're not familiar with it. The United States was going through some pretty rough moments, to understate it. Jimmy Carter had just announced that the U.S. was going to not attend the Summer Olympics because of the Soviet Union invading Afghanistan. So this victory comes in the midst of a Cold War era, and it actually gave people something to finally be excited about and kind of united the country together. And then this was just one moment, but everybody knew that Soviet Union, they thought that America was just no way they're going to beat them. Those are the greatest hockey players in the world. But they came away with their 4-3 victory, and then the United States went on to beat Finland for the gold medal 2 days after that. So for me, I think it's just all about the American dream ideology of bringing everyone together. And I took away from that also wanting to be a sportscaster. Watching that movie and knowing the story with Al Michaels, do you believe in miracles? Yes. Being able to be a part of something that amazing and actually help to tell this story is kind of what made me want to be a sports journalist. So another fun thing is we all love underdog stories. This was a ragtag team, right? None of them are professional, all college kids. But Herb Brooke brought them together and found their full potential. And now Jimmy Craig, Jack O'Callahan, Mike Eruzione, and the rest of the team, they will all live on forever. So that is personally my favorite moment, and I suggest any fan of hockey or sports in general, check out the movie Miracle and the book, The Boys of Winter. It tells the story in depth, and it is absolutely amazing. Now, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I think what makes that moment so special, and I think you tied into it pretty well there, is the political turmoil that was going on around the world. And I think that's part of what makes it so special is it gave fans of the United States, or U.S. citizens really in general. I mean, we see it every time the Olympics happen or the World Cup. Everyone seems to gather in front of their TV, or back then a radio was probably a little bit more popular than it is now. But it gave everyone another reason to really just rally around, patriotism and red, white, and blue in America. And I think that just kind of really added to the situation.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that with the Olympics coming up later this month, because obviously 2020 and 2021 were crazy with COVID and everything else that happened. And I think we'll see that again as a defining moment of sports rallying everyone together.
Actually, I'll let you go next with your favorite moment. Yours is a little bit more recent than than Amber's is. So what are you rocking with as your favorite moment?
Yeah, I'm rocking with the Ray Allen game-tying three-pointer in Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals. Just an incredible shot, an incredible sequence of plays that happened that last 30 seconds. Chris Bosh getting that rebound from the LeBron James missed three and kicking it back out to Ray Allen, who was backpedaling and still shot a three-pointer over Tony Parker. It was just a crazy experience, and as a Heat fan myself, it was just surreal to watch that. Just sitting in my bed as a 12-year-old, just witnessing all of these great moments just happening on my iPad. It was just a crazy experience to see, and that really kind of, in my opinion, didn't really save LeBron's career, but definitely helped him win that second championship. But, Ray Allen, that shot was incredible. It definitely is the best shot in Miami Heat history, arguably in NBA history, in my opinion.
Yeah, what I think you mentioned there is really interesting. Think about how much different we maybe view the NBA and really LeBron James's legacy if Ray Allen doesn't make that shot. I mean, LeBron James, I believe, had an opt-out after that year. He would have lost 2 of 3 in his time in Miami with that only one coming against the Thunder. And obviously 2014, we don't know if that happens. And obviously if he does and the Heat still lose, LeBron only goes down to Miami and wins the one. Does LeBron opt out after that season in Miami and find somewhere else? Does he return to Cleveland again? I think that really changed the trajectory of the NBA for many years to come. And I think it changes the way a lot of people probably view, where we're at in terms of the NBA and the legacy that certain players and teams have.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, if Ray Allen didn't make that three-pointer, Tim Duncan would have won his, I think, 5th ring before he won that one in 2014. So he arguably would have been, tied with Michael Jordan for, 6 rings, which is incredible. And I think he's one of the best power forwards of all time. So for him, I think it was an interesting decision from Greg Popovich to keep Tim Duncan off the court in that situation and let Chris Bosh out-rebound, almost anybody on the court there. But I mean, it was just a crazy, sequence of events, and those crazy 30 seconds. You really couldn't tell who was going to win that game, but it was just, unreal to see Ray Allen hit that shot, and just overall the Heat come back in overtime as well to win that game.
My favorite story with that is that the trophy was actually on the court because they thought 100% it was going to go to the Spurs. You got 30 seconds left. I mean, they had the rope out there, like they were ready to give it to them.
It's just such a crazy moment, too, because of the way the play developed. And Ashka, you kind of hit on it a little bit. It was such a just scramble. Mm-hmm. And it was so lucky that it just bounced off the rim the right way. And Ray Allen just happened to be in the right spot where he only had to take, 3 or 4 steps behind the line. And Ray Allen at the time is viewed as the greatest shooter of all time because that's before Steph Curry really develops into where he is. And you are able to find him in the open corner and it's contested and and just all the pressure to make that shot. It's just amazing to me how well it developed and what a coincidence it was that it just developed perfectly for Miami. Yeah,
and it definitely was one of the best moments in that decade. Possibly, the best in NBA history. And this generation has seen, in my opinion. So, I mean, there's been a lot of great moments, but I think that moment, if you ask anybody, will stand out among anything else.
So I'm going to move to Major League Baseball, and I'm going to talk about a moment that I was actually fortunate enough to witness in person. I was fortunate enough to be able to go and view most of the Cardinals' 2011 World Series run. Obviously, I'm a huge Cardinal fan. And, being able to do that at the age that I was at, I think I would have been 11 years old, 12 years old, actually. And being able to go to all those games with my mom is something I'll always remember. But the 2011 World Series is something that I will always cherish on another level. And Game 6 is something that I think people will forever remember. It's something that Cardinals fans today, there's shirts or there's different rallying cries that say, I was at Game 6. And if you don't know the story, of course, the Cardinals, come back to St. Louis after, I guess, winning Games 3 and losing Game 4 and 5 in Texas. And they need to win Game 6 and 7 to win their 11th World Series. And David Freese, and it's just a crazy game, and David Freese drops a pop fly in I think the 5th or 6th inning, and it allows the Rangers to score a run. And David Freese comes up. He's a hometown kid from St. Louis, grew up rooting for the Cardinals, and he hits a triple off the right field wall over Nelson Cruz's head. It scores a couple of runs. He slides into third base, and the Cardinals get this whole new life in the bottom of the 9th inning. And then you go to the 10th inning, and the Rangers, inevitably, Josh Hamilton hits a home run into right center field. And it's just like all that energy just gets sucked out of you again because you feel like you fought back and now it's gone. And eventually the Cardinals get down to their last strike again in the bottom of the 11th inning. They're able to get another run on, or in the 10th inning. And then David Freese comes up in the 11th inning and he hits a home run to dead center field. And Joe Buck has his memorable call quoting his father, and we'll see you tomorrow night. And just that moment is just surreal to me. It's something I don't even remember in a way. You just kind of like go like blind in a way. And I just like remember the feeling, but I don't remember actually like him hitting the home run or the reaction afterwards. And being able to see that in person is something that is, in my mind, something that's never going to be topped for me in my sports viewing fandom.
Yeah, it's just crazy that you got to experience that in person. I mean, that crowd must have been absolutely electric. That it must have been crazy when he hit that triple, and even that home run too. Well, I didn't get to watch that game on live, but I saw it on SportsCenter the next morning, and I got goosebumps just watching the whole thing. The crowd was just erupting as soon as he hit that ball, and it was just an insane sight to see. That was probably one of the best baseball moments I've seen.
And what made it so special to me was that everyone seems to forget the fact that he hit the triple too.
Yeah.
Everyone just kind of, they see the replay of the home run, and the triple to me is like just as memorable because without the triple, you don't have the home run, and that's what makes it so crazy. But obviously, like the triple, it probably should have been caught. In all honesty, I think Nelson Cruz probably had it up 7, 8 out of 10 times. I think that's what adds to the drama of it. And of course, just the way the Cardinals got into the playoffs that year. They were 10.5 games out entering September 1st of the division, or maybe the wild card, I forget exactly what it was. And to make the run that they did in September to qualify for the playoffs, and then to beat the Brewers, who are a really good team in the NLCS, to win Game 5 against the Phillies in an absolute pitcher's duel between Roy Halladay and Chris Carpenter, it just like cemented everything. And then that was obviously the last game that Tony La Russa would manage in a Cardinal uniform. I think everyone kind of thought it would be the last game he managed ever. And now he's back and he's managing the White Sox. And it ended up being potentially the last, I guess I should say, time that Albert Pujols would be seen in a Cardinal uniform the next night in Game 7. So it was a really incredible moment to be able to witness it in person.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, Alec, what was it like as far as, obviously now you're doing like sportscasting stuff, right? Like, so how did that, like, being there live for that moment, what was that like as far as your career goes?
Yeah, it's just crazy to think about it too, because obviously when you're there, you don't have the whole, you're not listening to it unless you're Steve Bartman, I guess, in the left field bleachers at Wrigley Field. But, just getting home and seeing it on SportsCenter and listening to the radio on the way home, and you just hear his call of, and we will see you tomorrow night. Like, just saying it now just gives me chills, and it gives me goosebumps to think that I was there. And it's crazy to think about how that just kind of like continued my love for sports and the drama that comes with big moments in sports history. And that to me is just what, that's what to me is what like, sports is all about, how there's drama and anything can change on any given pitch. And that's what I love about baseball. And really, actually, I think it can go the same way with Ray Allen's shot. Anything can change on any given pitch or any given shot. In a big moment in basketball or in baseball, and of course in hockey too, a big goal can immediately change the landscape of the game. And obviously I think that was a big thing for the three of us in choosing this moment, was there's one major turning point or one major thing that you can kind of point to as a direction changer in the moment or game that we pointed to.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any other moments that you guys want to hit on before we kind of get out of here and let everyone enjoy their Friday afternoons heading into the weekend?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. There's just so many great ones. From like Steph Curry to going to, as you said, Josh Hamilton, hitting home runs. There's so many great moments that I really love, and I watched a lot of those greatest U.S. sports moments on YouTube. And I get goosebumps watching that video almost every time. It's a great sight to see.
Yeah, I think there's so many. I don't know that I can like pinpoint. We'll be here all day if I'm going to sit here and name all the best sports moments. I mean, we didn't even touch on college sports, and there's so many in that as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to – maybe this is something we can do next week too. We can kind of focus more on college sports with the three of us. We can obviously talk about Chris Jenkins and his shot for Villanova to beat North Carolina, and I think that moment is just, like totally just forgotten that Marcus Paige hits the shot literally the possession before, and it's an absolute circus shot. So I think that's one that you have to talk about as well. We did get a mention here from, I think, Grant Mitchell in the mentions. What's one moment you guys will tell your kids about? And to me, it is, for me, the David Freese home run. That's something I'll never forget, just being in the stands and being able to watch that in person. And hopefully my kids are big Cardinal fans too. But what about you guys?
Yeah, so for me, one that I was present for, obviously, I go to Virginia Tech. I'm a huge Hokie fan, and my dad is actually an ODU fan. So there's like obviously that very much a rivalry. And the year before I went to Tech, ODU absolutely upset Tech and kind of like put them flat on their face and embarrassed them. And my dad did not let me forget about that. So then come around my freshman year, and ODU is playing at Tech, and Tech has a chance to redeem themselves, and they do it. And it was amazing to see that redemption and finally be able to be like, see, Tech is better than ODU. And just being in the stands and being able to be there with my dad. And it was my first Virginia Tech game ever, my first like home game for Virginia Tech as a freshman. It was an absolutely amazing memory. And like, I hope my kids are Hokies. And so I'll definitely be telling them about that.
I wasn't really aware of this at the time, but that Mike Piazza home run post 9/11, I'm from New York, so that was like the biggest moment, that entire, first 5 years of, the century, in my opinion. So being able to like watch it now and just seeing everyone's reaction and just all the patriotism that was brought up from that moment, I think that needs to be passed down, from generation to generation in United States history. And I think that's like the top one I'll share if, I'm going to tell my kids about sports moments.
Yeah, and I think to me that's what makes these so special is that you have your own kind of like intimate connection to the moment or to the story. That to me is whether it's, talking about your ODU history and your story that you had there, Amber, or actually you and I obviously don't remember the Mike Piazza home run in the 2000 Subway Series World Series, but that's something that just to me is very something that just so many people have a connection to, and that's just so key. And I misspoke there; it wasn't the Subway Series; that was the first game back from 9/11. To have that moment, I feel like that just kind of reminded everyone of the normalcy that can kind of come, that sports can bring, and the ability that sports have to unite an entire country, an entire group of people over something. And that's something that I think we saw within the last year with 2020 is we saw how powerful sports are and how that they can bring people together. And obviously COVID was a very divisive thing, and we had the social justice movement with George Floyd, but sports to me was an opportunity for people to kind of really rally together and kind of start this movement back towards what we hope would be progressiveness with social injustices, or movement away from COVID as we start to develop more effective vaccines and people start to get healthier and whatever. And sports is something in the last like year or 2 years that I think has totally changed where we were at even like 3, 4, 5 years ago.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely agree.
All right, everyone. That is all the time we have for today on the Sports 2.0 show. We appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports 2.0 show on any platform, specifically YouTube, Twitter, whatever it may be. We appreciate you guys watching. Have a great afternoon and enjoy your weekend, everyone.